How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Cooking Without Pants On, where today we are going to be starting a brand new book series, where I'm going to be reading you all classic books such as Moby Dick in my smooth and seductive voice, all for your listening pleasure. Today we'll be reading Chapter 1. Call me Ishmael. I am a schoolmaster, and whenever life got me down, I would leave my job and head for one special place. When my spirits needed restoring, I could always count on the sea. I don't mean I'd travel as a passenger. No, for me the way to escape the closeness of my hometown of Manhattan, New York, was to go to sea as a plain seaman. I liked the exercise. I liked getting paid instead of having to pay. Plus, I liked satisfying my yen for seeing faraway places. This time, though, I decided that instead of signing up on a merchant vessel, I'd go on a whaling ship that would sail from that original home of whaling, Nantucket, an island off the coast of Massachusetts. I had to go to New Bedford first, then take a small boat to Nantucket. I arrived in New Bedford on a bitter cold Saturday night in December, only to get some bad news. The last boat for Nantucket had just left, and there wouldn't be another till Monday morning. I hadn't counted on the extra expense of staying in New Bedford 2 nights, but I had no choice. So I began to look around for a low-cost inn. Since the ones I passed seemed too cheerful and attractive for my pocket, I kept on walking in the icy wind. Finally, near the dock, I came to a run-down gabled house. Its sign creaked as it swung over the ramshackle door. Under a picture of a jet spray were the words, "The Sprouter Inn, Peter Coffin." Not very appealing, I thought, but better than being outdoors this frosty night. The first thing I saw as I entered the inn was a dismal picture of a sinking ship and a whale. One wall was hung with all kinds of frightening weapons, clubs, spears, whaling lances, and rusty harpoons. The entrance to the bar was formed by the arch of a whale's open mouth, and the wrinkled bartender seemed to be mixing drinks inside the whale's fierce jaws. The landlord said that he was full up, but that if I wanted to stay, I would have to share a bed with a harpooner. I didn't like the idea, but I knew that sharing rooms was a common practice in small-town inns. I told the landlord that if I had no choice, I might put up with half of a decent man's blanket. All through supper I watched for the harpooner to arrive, but he did not appear. I dreaded the thought of sleeping in a strange bed in a strange town with a total stranger, especially a rough harpooner. I kept a worried eye on the door until midnight, but there was still no sign of him. "Landlord," I finally said, "where is he? And what sort of man is he to keep such late hours?" "Generally, he's the early bird what watches the worm," explained the landlord. "But tonight he's out a-peddling. He must be having trouble settling his head." "His what?" I shouted. "Be easy," said the landlord. "This harpooner has just arrived from the South Seas with a lot of embalmed shrunken heads from New Zealand. Great curios, you know. He's sold 'em all but one, and I told him it wouldn't do to be selling human heads about the streets tomorrow when folks is going to church." "He sounds like a dangerous man," I cried. "He pays regular," said the landlord, lighting a candle. "And that's all that concerns me. Now come along, I'll take you to your room." A crazy old sea chest stood in the small cold room, and in the middle was a big bed enough for 4 harpooners. There was no other furniture but a rough shelf and an old wooden chair. A seaman's bag sat on the floor, and a tall harpoon stood beside the bed. I was restless for a while after the landlord left. At last I slid off into a light doze. Suddenly, a heavy footstep in the passageway awakened me, and I saw a gleam of light come into the room. Lord save me, I thought. It must be the head peddler. I lay perfectly still, watching a shadowy figure cram the horrible New Zealand head into the sea bag. He flipped his heavy sea coat on the chair, reached into the bag, and took out what looked like a tomahawk. I couldn't see the man's face for a while, but when I did, I froze. The face was of a dark purplish color, stuck all over with large blackish-looking squares, and when he pulled off his hat, I came close to crying out in surprise. There was no hair on his head, none but a small, twisted scalp knot, a hank of long hair that had been left in the center when the rest was shaved off. His bald, purplish head looked for all the world like a mildewed skull. Had the stranger not stood between me and the door, I would have bolted out of the room in a frightened rush. But I just lay there, waiting, silently examining the rest of him. His chest, arms, and back were checkered like his face, and his legs were so covered with tattoos they resembled a parade of dark green frogs running up the trunks of young palm trees. The stranger reached over to where he had thrown his heavy seacoat, and from the pocket he took a little hunchbacked figure, a worshipping idol, a handle of wood, shavings, a candle, and a bit of ship's biscuit. These he set on the fireplace. Then he lit a kind of sacrificial flame, burned the biscuit, and seemed to make a polite offering of it to the little figure. His face twitched in an unnatural manner, and he made strange noises in his throat. He seemed to be worshipping this figure in some sort of ceremony. I could only watch in fascination. That was chapter 1. If you all enjoyed this video, then please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel to see more content just like this in the future. Remember that we are only 9 subscribers away from 200 subs currently, so please, if you enjoyed this video, then remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel to help us reach that wonderful goal. As always, thank you all for watching. Until next time, bye.